thanks for coming back. I got a basic pattern here that a little bit of a new twist on, some new materials and something I've never tried before. And kind of wanted to show you guys what it's going to look like on a finished product. What we have here today is called the Silverback Stone. This is a bug I've been seeing on our local creeks. Have not been able to catch a live one yet, but this is a pretty good representation. It's just a giant stonefly, salmon fly, whatever you want to call it. And the new materials I got are pretty neat. Kind of makes things a little bit more cleaner, and you know, it certainly brightens it up a bit, you know, for sunlight and things like that. So I'll go over materials here with you, and we'll get a good look at what we're doing. Obviously, what we got here, goose biots. I have these on double. I have two different colors. I have a light gray and a dark gray for all four, either the two antennas on the front and the two tails on the back. Just rubber legs here, you know, obviously for the legs. What I have here on the back that you can see is kind of the new product that I was looking at. This is just thin skin, and comes in a couple different, a couple thousand different colors probably. What we're looking at here, I found out that it really doesn't matter what color we're using, because I have a chrome pen, a chrome paint marker that I've used to color the back of these things, and it makes it basically like chrome and super reflective. The stonefly that I've been seeing is mostly gray, a little bit of black, but very pronounced legs, very pronounced tails, and the shielding, or you know, the back layers that we have here were just very clean on the bug. And everything I've tried to do to imitate that by trying to cut them by hand, or just kind of blocking them off, folding thin skin over, or you know, scud back over, feathers, folding feathers over, to try to create, you know, this little separation. It looked okay, I guess, but I wanted to make it look a little bit better. So the product that I ran across, I saw these a number of years ago, but wasn't tying many stoneflies at that time. But this is called Stonefly Wing Pad Cutter, and essentially what it is a razor blade attached to a block of wood that is in the shape of the wing cases. So all kinds of different sizes. I got 10s, these are 8s, which is the size hook that we're going to be using. But to show you kind of what it's going to look like on a thin skin, you know, you cut it out, just peel it off, tie it on. It's the simplest thing, and the real nice that you can alter the length of how long you want the tag in to tie in on. So it really makes it, you know, a nice product. As far as the basic ingredients that we're using today, we're using a combination of Semperfli. This is dirty bug yarn. This one is what they call mottled olive. Also using some Semperfli straggle string in silver. As far as the thread we're using today, it's Semperfli black, nano silk. The beads that we have are just an Orvis bead. Black is 4mm. This is a size 8 hook. This is Firehole 718. And as far as the dubbing and things like that, I'm using a mix. You know, I save everything. So I throw all of my dubbing that I'm done using into a pile, and just kind of create this mass of multiple colors. And the ones that are in this are just an Orvis gray, a brown, some laser dub there, prism that's mixed in there. The tails, or goose tails, goose biots, sorry, that I'm using here for the tail. It's just a dark gray. These are actually turkey biots that are a light gray. And I'll stagger those when I put them on. I'll show you what I do with that. But yeah, other than that, that's kind of what we're looking at here. I'll show you how to use this stone cutter or stone pad cutter here when we get to it. And we'll get things started, okay? No real tricks or anything with this pattern. I'm sure everybody's tied a stonefly at one point or another. These ones, the only difference is they're just a little bit bigger. Something that I did very well on this spring with trying to drop it on the other side of a seam, letting it sink, and then kind of swinging it through the hot spot. And I think I have a couple of those videos on, on my YouTube channel. You guys can check them out. Some real nice fish. So first thing we want to do is get these antennas started. So we'll tie this on. Now what I do with the antennas, just based on the bug, you can have a look at the picture there. Obviously we want the points to line up and in the same direction. But what I did differently was try to put the light ones, if you can see that, that's the dark one, that's the light one. Putting the light on the inside, try to line those tips up a little bit. I would rather have the dark just a touch longer, maybe a mil or two. Tie these on, hopefully we can get them on there straight. And they are very pronounced on the bug, so you want to make sure that you're going to be given a good profile, making sure that your angles are right. Get them on that side of the hook, and tie those down a little bit better. And you're going to get a little bit of separation on that, if you can see that. That's okay. Trim off this excess. The idea is to make sure they're on the opposite side of the hook there together. And to do the other side, this takes a little bit of time. Just make sure your tips are pointing in the correct direction. Pinch them on, maybe about that kind of separation as far as the different links. Try to make sure they stay on the side of the hook. Lengthen that out a little bit more and try to pinch it down. Don't worry about these splaying too much. We'll get them all wrapped in here once we get that bead pushed up to the front. Trim the excess off of these. Okay, now when we push this bead up here, you're going to get a little bit more splaying. That's okay. And that's kind of where we're at. Sometimes you get them closer together, but it doesn't really matter that much. I'm just trying to create that profile for the fish to see. Okay, after we push that bead up, I'm gonna do a few wraps of lead wire after I cut this off. There. Probably do about 10 or 12 wraps of this. One more. I keep this on a spool so it's a little bit easier to take and wrap those things on there tight. Now, depending on the bead size that you use, you might have to crimp the beginning of this so that it fits inside the bead. There you go.
A few moments later.
Okay. Next thing we're gonna do is put on our wire, since that's gonna be the last thing that comes up front. Let's try to tuck that in right up against that lead. Wrap that the whole way back, right to where the tails connect. Okay. Next thing, I just have a piece of scudback, black. I'm gonna tie that in too. Get it right on the top of that. You can see how we're starting to fill in that gap where the lead is. And wrap this the whole way back, right to where the tail is again. Okay. Next thing I got is I pulled some of this Semperfli Dirty Bug yarn, combined it with some silver straggle string, and we're going to tie this in right at that bump. You can use dubbing, you can use whatever you want on this. Like I said, it's a stonefly pattern. Make it whatever color you guys run into. Most of the stuff I see from out west is much darker. Line this whole way up to the bead. Put a wet finish on this. Try not to get hang that on the hanger while I wrap this thread. Okay, so since we're going to be wrapping this thread, you're going to spin this clockwise, or counterclockwise, I apologize, because we're wrapping clockwise. You can see the color on it, how everything kind of mixes up there, which makes it look nice. I'll put one wrap down over where that tail is starting, and then just layer this the whole way up. Watch that hook point. Obviously, once we get up to the top, it's going to be a little bit thicker in the thorax. Don't be afraid to put on some extra. And I go the whole way up to the head on this. Okay. I'm gonna bring our thread back in. Tie this off. Okay, that's the body. Next thing we're going to do is bring this scud back up over the top. Very important that this stays on the top of the bug. Okay. All right, I'm gonna put a wood finish on that. Now the tough part about this wire is getting so many segments, you know, on that little area here. What happens a lot of times is that scudback starts to slip and turn. So I'll try to wrap over the top first and then pull straight down. And that allows you to get the right spacing on these. It doesn't really matter what color scudback you're using because there's so many wraps of this wire. It kind of drowns out whatever color is in there anyway. But I picked black just for that contrasting type of look with the silver wire. And there's probably about a dozen segments in the bug that you know, we've been seeing here. So I try to go up as far as I can. Because you're still going to be able to see the segments on the bottom. Oh, no. Got one of his antennas tied in there. Okay, so that's where we're at. Then I will wind this back till maybe about the midpoint of what we got there. Now I need to show you what we're looking at with these wing pads. Okay, so what I did, I took a piece of this thin skin, and again, it doesn't really matter what color you're going to use because I'm painting over it, but what I picked was something that had a pattern on this. Okay, what I'm going to do is use different wing pads. Not every single wing pad will have the silver on it. I wanted to have something dark in between the two. So I had one facing up and then one facing down. But more or less, I'll show you how to do this here. I'm gonna have to change the camera a little bit. So I will be right back. Thanks. Okay guys, so what I did was color the back of this with this chrome pen. And you can see how shiny and reflective it is. And then I'm going to cut my wing pads out of that. And they give you this little cutting pad that you can't cut through. That's an important thing. Don't do it on your desk because it will cut it. Okay, so it has two different ends on it. Okay, this end up here is open. You want to leave that over the edge of the paper. You just lean down on it. I kind of roll it a little bit, and then out pops your perfect little wing pad. Okay, and you can see on this side it still has the pattern on that on the outside. I have the silver on the inside. We're going to use that one first. You can get a lot out of, you know, one of these things here. Obviously we're going to need 3. Okay, there's our 3. All right, we'll go back to the bug. Okay, so here's our wing pad. Okay, silver chrome on one side. We're gonna put that silver side up probably about midway back on the thing here. One thing that I have found with this thin skin and using the nano silk, if you pull too hard on it, it's gonna cut it. Okay, I really don't want to pull it that hard. See how these are like splaying out? I want that to be visible. Okay, just to give it a little bit different profile. But what I do to counteract that issue with it, you know, cutting the nano silk, I'll get it in place, and then I will dub a small amount on the inside of it, or on the high side of it, and tighten those down so that the dubbing gives it a little bit of cushion. Okay, and what it's also going to do is provide a little bit of a surface to give some separation on the wing pads. Okay, when we tie in this next one, we're going to tie this one in dark side down. Okay, and you can see, hopefully see that there's going to be a little gap in there. That holds true with the bug in real life. Okay, put 2 wraps on there to just hold it in the position. We're going to dub a little bit more on there for the next wing pad. That might be a little too much. Let's see what we can do. I think that's really all we're gonna need. Okay, now you can see that that tag is hanging a little bit out over the head. We're going to cut that off. And we're going to get our 3rd wing pad in there after we get some legs in. Doesn't really matter if, you know, how long they are when you first put them on. But somewhere either where that second wing pad is tied in or in front of it. it's just a profile. I mean, I don't count how many legs, even though I know it has 6. But it's just something as it's going through the water, you know, to give it the impression that it's wiggling around. So I'll tie one on that side, tie one on this side, and like I said, don't worry too much about the length of it. Just make sure that they're, you know, in the right position on the side of the body. Now we can tighten those down. Stretch them around so that they get in the right spot. And when we wrap forward, we want to bring these front legs forward with us, just to change the angle a little bit. So you're gonna have these legs going more forward, these ones in the back are splaying out. Okay, so we're gonna get our last wing pad, put that over top of everything. Lay that on the top. Just be careful you don't tie your legs in at the wrong angle. Okay. Now we're going to start a little bit more dubbing here. And wouldn't hurt to have a little bit of sparkle in it. I've done others where you see some of the salmon flies from out west where they have that really red collar on them. Everything I've seen back here, it hasn't been like that. So I tied some up with hot spots and collars on them, and it does look good, but it's not the same as what the bug is. I can't tell you if it catches more fish or less fish. Guess that's kind of the idea, huh? Now we're gonna put on here a little bit more than we typically did with the other 2 wing cases, because we want to fill in the bump there with a little bit more material, because we want these legs to go forward. Tighten that down. Watch these legs, make sure they're in a good spot. I'm going to cut this tag off and then add a little bit more dubbing to cover up all of the mess. I'll put this on pretty tight, and then at the end I'll show you what else we're going to do with it here. There we go, over the bead. Now we can pull these legs back since they're in position already. Really tighten that down. And I do a whip finish. Get these legs untangled. Tighten that until I get that back over there. Okay, just about done here. All right, so you can brush this out a little bit if you want it to be a little fuzzy on the bottom side. Okay, I'm gonna take this chrome marker and shake it up, because it is essentially paint, and I am going to dab and color this stuff on the top here, just to kind of blend in and separate that head just a touch. Now, as far as the legs, you can leave them long and straggly. They really aren't that long. Just try to even them up a little bit. Short on the front a touch. And that's what we got. Okay, silverback stone. Catches fish. That's the most important thing here. Tie a couple up. I know I did some extra steps, but if you want to, yeah, try to find those wing pad cutters. It certainly saves me a lot of time. I have a, you know, my vision isn't the greatest when I'm dealing with in something so small, but give it a shot. See if you can catch some fish. You can see the bottom side to where, regardless of the color, that wire is really, you know, pulling things out to give you that good contrast. Separation on the wing pads, get some more light in there, different contrast there too. And also, you know, with the antennas and the tails, giving them a little bit different color. When you look at the bug, not everything's the same color, and it's kind of hard to color a biot of some sorts without destroying it. So give it a shot, see how you do. Thanks for stopping by.